The phone's shrill ring pierced through the darkness at 2:17 a.m., dragging Trevor Hayes from a dreamless sleep. His hand fumbled across the nightstand, knocking over a half-empty water glass before finding the vibrating device. The screen's harsh blue light made him squint. A known number. Every instinct told him to ignore it, to roll over and sink back into oblivion, but something stopped him. His thumb hovered over the decline button for 3 long seconds before he pressed accept. "Hello?" His voice came out rough, gravelly with sleep. "Is this Trevor Hayes?" A woman's voice, professional but urgent, cut through the line. "Yes. Who is this?" "Mr. Hayes, this is Nurse Stephanie Mills from Metropolitan General Hospital. I'm calling about Camila Rodriguez. You're listed as her emergency contact in our older records." Trevor sat up so fast the room spun. Camila. He hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in months, though it echoed in his mind almost daily. What happened? Is she okay? "Mr. Hayes, Ms. Rodriguez was admitted 3 hours ago in critical condition. Her liver is failing. She needs an emergency transplant, and we've been unable to locate any compatible donors from her family. According to our records, you were tested years ago during a health screening program. Your blood type and tissue markers indicated you might be a potential match." The nurse paused, and Trevor could hear the weight of what came next. "We need you to come in immediately for compatibility testing. She's in surgery right now for stabilization, but without a transplant within the next 48 hours. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Trevor's mind reeled. 2 years. It had been exactly 2 years, 3 months, and 16 days since he'd signed the divorce papers. Since he'd watched Camila walk out of the lawyer's office without looking back, her signature still wet on the documents that dissolved their 5-year marriage. Since the worst day of his life became just another Tuesday. "Mr. Hayes? Are you still there?" "I'm coming." The words left his mouth before his brain fully processed them. "I'm coming right now." "Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Come to the emergency entrance. Ask for Dr. Patricia Wong. She's the transplant surgeon on call." Trevor was already out of bed, pulling on yesterday's jeans. Tell Camila I'm coming. If she's conscious, tell her I'm coming." "I will, Mr. Hayes." The line went dead. Trevor stood in his bedroom, phone still pressed to his ear, heart hammering against his ribs. Camila was dying. The woman he'd loved more than breathing, the woman he'd failed, the woman who'd walked away from him, was dying. And he might be the only person who could save her. His hands shook as he grabbed a shirt from the closet. The blue button-down Camila had bought him 3 Christmases ago. He'd kept it, hidden in the back behind clothes he actually wore, unable to donate it or throw it away. Now he pulled it on, fingers fumbling with the buttons. The drive to Metropolitan General took 17 minutes. Trevor didn't remember a single second of it. He didn't remember parking or walking through the automatic doors into the fluorescent brightness of the emergency room. The smell hit him first. Antiseptic and fear mixed with bad coffee and industrial floor cleaner. "I'm Trevor Hayes." He approached the reception desk, where a tired-looking woman with gray streaks in her black hair looked up from her computer. "I got a call about Camila Rodriguez. I'm here for Dr. Wong." The receptionist's expression shifted from bureaucratic indifference to something softer. "Recognition, maybe. Or pity. Room 7 down that hallway. Dr. Wong is expecting you." Trevor's feet moved automatically. The hallway stretched endlessly, harsh lights buzzing overhead. Room 5. Room 6. Room 7. The door was half open. Inside, a woman in blue scrubs stood studying a chart. She looked up as he knocked. "Mr. Hayes?" "That's me." Dr. Patricia Wong was probably in her late 40s, with sharp eyes and calloused hands that spoke of years in operating rooms. She extended one now and Trevor shook it. Her grip was firm, confident. "Thank you for coming so quickly. Please sit down." Trevor remained standing. "How is she? Can I see her?" "She's still in surgery. We're stabilizing her condition, but her liver function is at 11%. Without a transplant, she has days at most." Dr. Wong's directness was almost comforting in its lack of sugarcoating. "Mr. Hayes, I need to explain what we're asking of you." "I'll do it." Trevor interrupted. "Whatever she needs. I'll do it. You haven't heard the risks yet." "I don't care about the risks. She needs a liver. I'm here. Test me. If I'm compatible, take whatever she needs." Dr. Wong studied him for a long moment. "You understand this is major surgery? You'll be in the hospital for at least a week, recovery will take months, and there are significant risks including infection, bleeding, and in rare cases, liver failure." "I understand. You're divorced according to our records. 2 years ago." And you're willing to do this anyway? Trevor met her eyes. She's dying. Nothing else matters. Not the divorce, not the past, nothing. If I can save her life, then that's what I'm going to do. Something shifted in Dr. Wong's expression. Approval maybe. Or respect. All right. Let's run the test. But Mr. Hayes, I need you to understand something. Even if you're compatible, even if the surgery goes perfectly, there's no guarantee. Her body might reject the transplant. She's been ill for longer than we initially realized. The next 48 hours will be critical even after surgery. When can we start? Right now. Follow me. The next 3 hours passed in a blur of needles, vials of blood, medical forms, and questions Trevor answered automatically. What medications was he taking? None. Any history of liver disease? No. Had he consumed alcohol in the last 24 hours? No. Did he understand this was voluntary and he could withdraw consent at any time? Yes and no, he wouldn't be withdrawing anything. At 5:43 a.m., as weak sunlight began filtering through the hospital windows, Trevor sat alone in a waiting room, staring at a coffee machine that had been out of order for what looked like months based on the faded, out-of-service sign. His phone buzzed. A text from his business partner, Nicole. Where are you? Meeting with the Brennan clients at 9. Trevor had forgotten. The Brennan project, 6 months of architectural work, the biggest contract their firm had landed. He typed back, family emergency. Reschedule. I'll explain later. Nicole's response came immediately, everything okay? No. But it will be. He hoped that was true. The waiting room door opened. A young woman stepped through, mid-20s, with dark curly hair pulled into a messy bun and eyes red from crying. She wore a green cardigan over a white blouse and carried 2 paper cups of coffee. She froze when she saw Trevor. Rosa? Trevor stood. Rosa Rodriguez, Camila's younger sister, stared at him like he was a ghost. The coffee cups trembled in her hands. Trevor? What are you doing here? The hospital called me. They said Camila needs a transplant. I'm being tested for compatibility. Rosa's face crumpled. The coffee cups hit the floor, brown liquid spreading across the linoleum, and she was across the room, arms around Trevor, sobbing into his shoulder. Thank you. Oh God, thank you. We didn't know who to call. Mom's been trying to reach her cousins in Arizona, but none of them are compatible and I'm not a match and we thought. Trevor wrapped his arms around her, this girl who'd been in college when he and Camila got married, who'd been a bridesmaid at their wedding, who'd called him a selfish coward when the divorce went through. It's okay. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. She didn't want us to call you. Rosa pulled back, wiping her eyes with the sleeve of her cardigan. She made me promise. She said she'd already hurt you enough and she wouldn't let us drag you back into her life. But Mom found your name in the hospital system as a potential donor and the nurses called before we could stop them. Trevor's chest tightened. Even dying, Camila had been trying to protect him. Rosa, what happened? The nurse said liver failure, but Camila was healthy. She never even drank much. Rosa sank into one of the waiting room chairs and Trevor sat beside her. She looked exhausted, like she'd been awake for days. It started about 18 months ago. She got sick just a little at first. Tired all the time, losing weight, stomach problems. She thought it was stress from work. You know how she is, always pushing herself too hard. By the time she finally saw a doctor, the damage was already extensive. What caused it? Autoimmune hepatitis. Her immune system basically decided her liver was the enemy and started attacking it. The doctors tried medications, steroids, immunosuppressants, everything. Nothing worked. She's been on the transplant list for 8 months, but she's got a rare blood type and tissue markers that make finding a match nearly impossible. Rosa's voice broke. We were losing hope. And then tonight she collapsed at work. Her liver just gave out. Trevor processed this. 18 months. Camila had been sick for 18 months, fighting this battle, and he'd known nothing. He'd been living his quiet life, going to work, coming home to his empty apartment, occasionally dating women whose names he forgot within weeks, while Camila had been dying. Have you ever wondered if the person you walked away from needed you more than you knew? What would you do if you got a second chance to save the one you lost? Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a story about love, second chances, and the choices that change everything. I should have known, Trevor said quietly. I should have checked on her. How could you have known? She didn't tell anyone until she had to. That's Camila. She'd rather suffer alone than ask for help. Rosa looked at him, really looked at him, and something in her expression softened. I was wrong about you, Trevor. When you two divorced, I thought you gave up on her. Mom thought that too. We blamed you for a long time. Maybe you were right too. No. Rosa shook her head firmly. Camila told me the truth about 6 months ago when things got really bad. She told me what really happened. The fights weren't your fault. She was pushing you away because she was scared. Scared of being vulnerable, scared of needing someone, scared of all the things that come with really letting someone in. And instead of fighting for the marriage, she ran. She's the one who gave up, not you. Trevor had spent 2 years believing he'd failed Camila somehow. That if he'd been better, stronger, more patient, she wouldn't have left. Hearing Rosa say otherwise should have brought relief. Instead, it just hurt differently. None of that matters now, Trevor said. What matters is getting her through this. The waiting room door opened again. Dr. Wong stepped through, still in her surgical scrubs, a surgical mask hanging around her neck. Her expression was carefully neutral. Trevor and Rosa both stood. The stabilization surgery went well, Dr. Wong said. She's in recovery. Her condition is critical but stable. She turned to Trevor. Mr. Hayes, your preliminary test results are promising. We need to run more comprehensive screenings, but initial markers suggest you're compatible. I've scheduled you for additional testing at 8 a.m. If everything checks out, we can perform the transplant surgery tomorrow afternoon. That fast? Rosa breathed. Ms. Rodriguez doesn't have time for us to be slow. Every hour we wait, her chances decrease. Dr. Wong looked at Trevor. Mr. Hayes, you need to rest. Get something to eat. The next few days are going to be difficult. You'll need your strength. Can I see her? Trevor asked. Even for a minute? Dr. Wong hesitated. She's unconscious. She won't know you're there. I'll know. After another pause, Dr. Wong nodded. 5 minutes. Room 412. 4th floor. Trevor took the elevator up, Rosa beside him. They didn't speak. The 4th floor was quieter than the emergency room, hushed and dim. Room 412 was at the end of the hall. Through the small window in the door, Trevor could see machines, tubes, monitors displaying numbers he didn't understand. I'll wait here, Rosa said softly. Trevor pushed open the door. Nothing could have prepared him for seeing Camila like this. She'd always been so vibrant, so full of life and energy and stubborn determination. The woman in the hospital bed looked small, fragile, her olive skin pale and waxy under the harsh lights. Dark hair he remembered running his fingers through lay limp against the pillow. Tubes ran from her arms, her nose, her chest. Machines beeped steadily, tracking a heartbeat that sounded too slow. Trevor approached the bed slowly, like she might shatter if he moved too fast. Her hand lay on top of the blanket, thin and delicate, and 4 taped to the back. He took it gently in his own, careful not to disturb the tubes. Hey Mila, he whispered, using the nickname only he had ever called her. It's me. I know you didn't want them to call me. I know you were trying to protect me because that's what you do. You always put everyone else first. But I'm here now and I'm not leaving. You're going to be okay. I promise you're going to be okay. Her hand was cold in his. Trevor held it between both of his, trying to warm it. I never stopped loving you. I need you to know that. The divorce these past 2 years, none of it changed how I feel. And I'm going to make sure you survive this. Whatever it takes. The machines continued their steady beeping. Camila didn't stir. Trevor stood there, holding the hand of the woman he'd never stopped loving, and made a silent promise to whoever might be listening. She would survive this. She had to. Morning light streamed through the hospital windows, harsh and unforgiving, as Trevor completed his 4th round of testing. A phlebotomist named Gerald, who'd been drawing blood for 30 years and had stories about every visible vein in the human body, wrapped a bandage around Trevor's arm and patted his shoulder. You're a good man doing this. Not many would. Trevor didn't feel particularly good. He felt exhausted, running on 2 hours of sleep and hospital vending machine coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. But he nodded his thanks and rolled down his sleeve. Dr. Wong found him in the hallway outside the testing lab at 11:30 a.m., her expression unreadable. Trevor's heart stopped. Is she okay? Ms. Rodriguez's condition hasn't changed. Still critical, still stable. Dr. Wong held a tablet, and she pulled up something that looked like a complex chart. Mr. Hayes, your results are remarkable. You're not just compatible. You're a near-perfect match. The likelihood of rejection is extremely low. Lower than we'd see with many sibling donors. Relief hit Trevor like a physical wave. His knees actually weakened. So we can do the surgery? We can. And we should as soon as possible. I've scheduled the operating rooms for 3 p.m. today. That gives you, she checked her watch, 3.5 hours. You need to sign consent forms, meet with the anesthesiologist, and I strongly recommend you eat something substantial. You won't be able to keep anything down after surgery for a day or two. I'm ready. Where do I sign? Dr. Wong led him to a small consultation room where a stack of papers waited. She walked him through each form, explaining the procedures, the risks, the recovery timeline. Trevor signed everything without hesitation. His hand was steady. His mind was clear. This was the easiest decision he'd ever made. Your emergency contact? Dr. Wong asked, pen poised over the final form. Trevor hadn't thought about that. His parents had retired to Florida 3 years ago. His brother lived in Seattle. Nicole was a business partner, not family. Rosa Rodriguez, he said finally. Camila's sister. Dr. Wong wrote it down, then looked up at him. Mr. Hayes, I have to ask. Are you certain about this? Once we begin, there's no going back. You'll wake up with significantly less liver than you have now. Your body will regenerate most of it over time, but you'll carry surgical scars and potential complications for the rest of your life. For a woman you're no longer married to. Dr. Wong, if your spouse or ex-spouse was dying and you could save them, would you hesitate? She smiled slightly. No, I wouldn't. Then you have your answer. After signing the forms, Trevor found Rosa in the family waiting area on the 4th floor. She wasn't alone. An older woman sat beside her, wearing a maroon dress and a rosary around her neck, her face lined with worry and exhaustion. Elena Rodriguez, Camila's mother. Trevor hadn't seen Elena since the divorce. The last time they'd spoken, she'd called him disappointing. Said she'd expected better from the man she'd welcomed into her family. The memory still stung. Elena looked up as Trevor approached, and something complicated crossed her face. Shame maybe. Or regret. She stood slowly, clutching her rosary. Trevor. Mrs. Rodriguez. They faced each other across the waiting room. Rosa watched nervously, like she expected an explosion. Instead, Elena stepped forward and pulled Trevor into a tight embrace. She was shorter than he remembered, the top of her head barely reaching his chin. She smelled like the lavender soap she'd always used. Thank you, she whispered against his shoulder. Thank you for coming. Thank you for doing this. I know we didn't part well. I know I said things I shouldn't have. But you're saving my daughter's life, and I will spend the rest of mine being grateful. Trevor hugged her back, feeling the tension of 2 years dissolve. She's family, Mrs. Rodriguez. She'll always be family. Elena pulled back, tears streaming down her weathered cheeks. She took Trevor's face between her hands, the way she used to when he and Camila were first married and he'd done something that pleased her. You call me Elena. You hear me? You're my son. Divorce papers don't change that. Rosa was crying too now. Trevor felt his own eyes burning. The surgery is at 3 p.m. They say it'll take about 6 hours. We'll be here, Elena said firmly. Every minute. Praying. There's something you should know. Trevor sat down and both women joined him. When I see Camila after this, when we're both recovering, she's probably going to be angry that you called me. She's going to feel guilty. I need you both to tell her something for me if she wakes up before I do. When she wakes up, Rosa corrected. When she wakes up, Trevor agreed. Tell her I chose this. Tell her nobody forced me, nobody guilt me, nobody manipulated me. I came here because I wanted to. Because there's nowhere else I'd rather be. Can you tell her that? We'll tell her, Elena promised. The next 2 hours passed in a strange blur of preparation. Trevor met Dr. Harrison Cole, the anesthesiologist, who explained what would happen when Trevor went under. He met the surgical nurses who would be assisting Dr. Wong. He changed into a hospital gown that tied in the back and left him feeling exposed and vulnerable. He gave his wallet, phone, and the silver watch his grandfather had left him to Rosa for safekeeping. At 2:45 p.m., a nurse named Angela wheeled him through the halls toward the surgical wing. Elena and Rosa walked alongside the gurney, each holding one of his hands. Other hospital staff paused to watch them pass. Some nodded respectfully. One older nurse crossed herself. Outside operating room 3, Dr. Wong waited in full surgical gear. Ready, Mr. Hayes? Trevor looked at Elena and Rosa one last time. Take care of her if something happens to me. Nothing is going to happen to you, Rosa said fiercely. You're both going to be fine. She's right, Dr. Wong added. I'm very good at what I do, Mr. Hayes. I don't lose patience. They wheeled Trevor into the operating room. The space was cold, sterile, filled with equipment and lights and people in surgical masks. Someone transferred him from the gurney to the operating table. The lights above were blinding. Count backward from 10, Dr. Cole said, somewhere beyond Trevor's field of vision. Something cool flooded into his 4:10:9:8. Trevor's last conscious thought was of Camilla's face. Not as he'd seen her last night, pale and unconscious, but as she'd looked on their wedding day. Radiant in her white dress, laughing at something Rosa had said, reaching for his hand as they stood at the altar. Beautiful and alive in his 7:6. Everything went dark. Rosa paced the family waiting room like a caged animal, wearing a path in the industrial carpet between the windows and the door. Elena sat in a chair by the wall, rosary beads sliding through her fingers as she prayed in whispered Spanish. The clock on the wall read 4:37 p.m. Surgery had been underway for nearly 2 hours. A man in his 60s, wearing wrinkled khakis and a faded blue shirt, entered the waiting room holding 2 paper bags that smelled like Chinese food. He had kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and paint stains on his fingers. "Anyone eaten today?" "Papa." Rosa went to him, accepting a hug. This was Rafael Rodriguez, Camilla's father, who'd been at his studio when everything happened. He worked nights as a security guard and painted during the day, creating massive colorful murals that decorated half the community centers in the city. "How are they?" Rafael set the bags on a small table, pulling out containers of rice and vegetables and spring rolls. "Still in surgery. Both of them." Elena accepted a container and chopsticks but didn't open it. Trevor went into surgery first. Camilla's procedure started 20 minutes later. Rafael processed this. "Trevor is here? Trevor Hayes? He's the donor, Papa. He's giving Camilla part of his liver." Rosa's voice cracked. He didn't hesitate. Not for a second. The hospital called him at 2 a.m. and he was here within 20 minutes. Rafael sat down heavily. He'd liked Trevor, had respected the younger man's work ethic and the way he treated Camilla. The divorce had confused him. "I thought they weren't speaking." "They weren't. But he came anyway." Elena finally opened her container, picking at the rice with her chopsticks. "He came and he signed everything and he said she was family and that was that." "Tell me about Trevor," Rosa said suddenly, looking at her parents. "Tell me about him and Camilla from your perspective. I was in college when they met. I missed so much." Elena and Rafael exchanged glances. Finally, Rafael began. "They met at the Harrison Street Art Festival 6 years ago. You remember that year, Rosa? When the city started that program to bring art to the neighborhoods." Rosa nodded, settling into a chair with her own container of food. She needed the distraction. The waiting was crushing. "I had a mural on display," Rafael continued. "The one of the phoenix rising. Took me 3 months to paint. Camilla came to see it on the opening day. She was so proud, taking pictures, telling everyone who'd listened that her father painted it." Elena smiled at the memory. She was wearing that green sundress. The one with the white flowers. Trevor was there looking at the same mural. He stood there for 15 minutes just studying it. When Camilla came over to stand beside him, he told her it was the most beautiful piece of public art he'd seen in the city. He said the way the colors blended made the phoenix look like it was actually moving. Camilla told him her father painted it. Elena picked up the story, and Trevor's face just lit up. He said any man who could create something that powerful must be remarkable, and he'd love to meet him. Camilla brought him right over to us. Rosa listened, eating mechanically. She'd heard versions of this story before, but never in such detail. "We talked for 2 hours, Rafael said. About art, architecture, the city, everything. Trevor had just started his own firm with that woman, Nicole. He was working constantly, barely sleeping, trying to build something. But when he talked about his work, his eyes shone. He loved it. The way I love painting. And he never looked away from Camilla," Elena added. "Not once in those 2 hours. Even when he was talking to us, his attention was on her. Like she was the sun and he was just orbiting." "They started dating the next week," Rafael said. "Camilla had never been so happy. She'd laugh at everything. She'd call us 3 times a day just to tell us something funny Trevor had said or something sweet he'd done. For her birthday that year he designed a tiny house. Just a sketch but detailed. With a studio for me to paint in and a garden for Elena and a library for Camilla because she'd always wanted a room just for books." "Why didn't they build it?" Rosa asked. "Life got in the way," Elena said softly. "Trevor's firm got busy. Camilla was promoted at the nonprofit. There was never time. But she kept that sketch. It's framed in her apartment." Rafael pulled out his phone, scrolling through old photos. He found one and passed it to Rosa. Trevor and Camilla at someone's birthday party, probably 3 years ago. Trevor wore a red shirt, Camilla a blue dress. They were laughing at something off camera, Camila leaning into Trevor's side, his arm around her shoulders. They looked absolutely in love. What happened? Rosa asked quietly. Why did they split up? Elena sighed. Life happened. Work stress. Money pressure. Camila's hours at the nonprofit got longer. Trevor's biggest client went bankrupt, owing them thousands. They started arguing about small things. Who forgot to buy milk? Who was supposed to call the landlord about the broken heater? Little things that shouldn't have mattered. But they added up, Raphael said. And then Camila's supervisor, that woman Christine, started putting ideas in her head. Telling her she was too young to be tied down. That she should focus on her career. That marriage was holding her back. Rosa frowned. I never knew that. Camila didn't tell many people. But she started coming home later. She stopped asking Trevor about his day. She became distant. Elena's voice was heavy with old sadness. Trevor tried. He'd cook dinner and it would get cold waiting for her. He'd plan date nights and she'd cancel. He suggested counseling and she said they didn't need it. One night they had a big fight, Raphael continued. About something stupid. Trevor had forgotten to mail some papers for her. She came home and exploded. Said if he really cared about her, he'd remember important things. Said she felt like she was carrying their entire life alone. Trevor said he felt invisible. That she looked through him instead of at him. She told him she needed space, Elena said. That's what she said. Space. Trevor took that to mean she wanted to separate. He moved out the next day. Stayed with Nicole for a week, then got his own apartment. I think he was trying to give Camila what she asked for. But Camila thought he was abandoning her, Rosa realized. She thought he gave up. Exactly. Raphael nodded. Neither of them communicated what they actually meant. Trevor was giving her space because she asked for it. Camila saw him leave and thought he didn't want to fight for their marriage. By the time they were both ready to talk, too much hurt had built up between them. The divorce papers were filed 6 weeks later. Rosa felt tears sliding down her cheeks. They still loved each other. They never stopped, Elena said. Trevor would call me sometimes after the divorce. He'd ask how Camila was doing. She was happy. If she was eating enough because she always forgot when she got stressed. He never dated seriously. Nicole told me once that Trevor went on exactly 3 dates in 2 years and never called any of the women back. And Camila? Rosa asked. Camila threw herself into work. Too many hours, too much stress, never sleeping enough, never eating right. When she got sick, she didn't tell us for months because she didn't want us to worry. She just kept pushing herself harder. Elena's voice broke. Maybe if they'd stayed together, he would have made her see a doctor sooner. Maybe he would have noticed she was sick. Or maybe she still would have gotten sick and they'd be going through this together instead of apart, Raphael said gently. We can't know. All we can do is pray they both come through this. The waiting room door opened. A nurse in purple scrubs stepped in. Rodriguez family? All 3 of them stood at once. Yes, Elena said, her hand going to her rosary. Dr. Wong asked me to give you an update. Both surgeries are progressing well. Ms. Rodriguez's procedure is about halfway complete. Mr. Hayes's surgery is moving into the final stages. Everything is going according to plan. Relief flooded through Rosa. They're okay? They're doing very well. Dr. Wong will come speak with you as soon as Mr. Hayes is out of surgery. The nurse smiled reassuringly and left. Elena sagged back into her chair. Thank God. Thank God. Raphael put his arm around his wife. Rosa returned to the window looking out at the city. Somewhere in this building, Trevor and Camila were fighting for their lives. Fighting for each other, really, whether Camila knew it yet or not. Rosa pulled out her own phone, scrolling to her photos. She found one from Camila and Trevor's wedding. The whole family was in it, taken by a professional photographer outside the church. Trevor in his charcoal suit, Camila in her wedding dress, everyone smiling. Rosa had been 22, wearing a bright pink bridesmaid dress she thought was hideous but wore anyway because Camila loved it. She remembered Trevor's vows. He'd written them himself and he'd cried while saying them, which had made half the church cry too. Camila, you are my home. The place I return to when the world is too much. The face I want to see when I wake up and when I fall asleep. I promise to choose you, every single day, even on the days when it's hard. Especially on the days when it's hard. I promise to laugh with you in good times and hold you through bad times. I promise to build a life with you, brick by brick, day by day, until we've created something beautiful. I love you. I will always love you. Camila had cried too. Her vows had been shorter, simpler. Trevor, you see me. The real me, not the person I pretend to be for the world. You make me braver. You make me better. I promise to see you too. To appreciate you, support you, and stand beside you no matter what comes. I love you more than words can say. They'd meant those vows. Rosa knew they had. Somehow, in the mess of daily life, they'd forgotten them. But Trevor hadn't forgotten. 2 years later, he was in surgery giving Camila part of his body to keep her alive. If that wasn't love, Rosa didn't know what was. Her phone buzzed. A text from her boyfriend, Carlos. How is everything? Rosa typed back. Both still in surgery. It's going well. I'm here if you need anything. Say the word and I'll come to the hospital. Rosa smiled slightly. Thank you. I love you. Love you too. Stay strong. She pocketed her phone. Elena was praying again. Raphael had given up on the Chinese food and was staring at the wall, lost in thought. The clock read 5:12 p.m. 3 more hours at least. Maybe 4. Rosa settled in to wait. Dr. Patricia Wong pushed through the doors of the surgical waiting room at 7:43 p.m., still in her surgical scrubs but with her mask pulled down. She looked tired but satisfied. Elena, Raphael, and Rosa all jumped to their feet. Both surgeries were successful, Dr. Wong said immediately, and Rosa felt her knees go weak with relief. Mr. Hayes came through beautifully. His portion of the procedure took about 5 hours. We removed approximately 60% of his liver, which will regenerate over the next several months. The organ was healthy, well perfused, exactly what we hoped for. And Camila? Elena gripped Raphael's hand so tightly her knuckles went white. Ms. Rodriguez's surgery was more complicated as we expected. Her liver was more damaged than the scans indicated. But the transplant went smoothly. The new tissue is already showing signs of function. Her body appears to be accepting it well, though we'll need to monitor closely for rejection over the next few days. Can we see them? Rosa asked. They're both in recovery right now. Mr. Hayes should wake up within the next hour. Ms. Rodriguez may take longer as her surgery was more extensive. Once they're stable and conscious, you can see them briefly. But understand they'll be in significant pain and very disoriented. They need rest more than anything. Elena nodded, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Wong. Thank Mr. Hayes. He's the hero here. Dr. Wong's expression softened. I've been doing transplant surgery for 16 years. I've seen a lot of donors. Family members who feel obligated. Friends who are pressured into it. But Mr. Hayes? He didn't hesitate. Not once. He signed those consent forms faster than anyone I've ever seen. Whatever happened between him and your daughter, his love for her is absolutely real. We know, Raphael said quietly. We've always known. Dr. Wong left to check on her patients. The Rodriguez family returned to their vigil, this time with hope instead of fear weighing on them. Elena started making phone calls to relatives who'd been waiting for updates. Raphael ordered more food and this time everyone actually ate. Rosa collapsed into a chair, exhaustion hitting her all at once. You should go home, Elena told her daughter. Get some sleep. We'll call if anything changes. I'm not leaving. Rosa shook her head. Not until I see them both awake. An hour later, a nurse came to tell them Trevor was conscious and asking for them. They followed her to the recovery ward, a maze of curtained-off spaces with beeping machines and the constant shuffle of medical staff. Trevor was in the third bay from the left. He looked terrible. Pale, drawn, with dark circles under his eyes and an oxygen tube in his nose. A sheet covered him to the chest, hiding the surgical dressings Rosa knew were underneath. And 4 drip fed into his left arm. Monitors tracked his vitals and steady green lines. But his eyes were open. Alert. When he saw them, he managed a weak smile. Hey. Oh, Mijo. Elena was beside the bed immediately, taking his hand carefully to avoid disturbing the 4. How do you feel? Like someone took a machete to my abdomen, Trevor admitted. His voice was hoarse, probably from the breathing tube. But alive. How's Camila? The surgery went perfectly, Rosa assured him from the foot of the bed. Dr. Wong said her body is already accepting the transplant. Something in Trevor's expression cracked. Relief so profound it was almost painful to witness. She's going to be okay? She's going to be okay, Raphael confirmed. Because of you. Trevor closed his eyes. A single tear slid down his temple into his hair. Thank God. I was so scared. The nurse said you were asking for us the moment you woke up, Rosa said. Most people ask for water or pain medication. You asked if Camila was alive. Nothing else mattered. Trevor opened his eyes again. Can I see her? She's still unconscious, Elena said. But as soon as she wakes up, we'll tell her you're here. We'll tell her everything you did. Will she be angry? Trevor asked. That I donated? Rosa exchanged glances with her parents. Probably. You know Camila. She hates feeling like she owes anyone anything. She's going to feel guilty. Tell her she doesn't owe me anything. This wasn't a transaction. It was the right thing to do. A nurse appeared at the curtain. I'm sorry, but Mr. Hayes needs to rest. You can come back in the morning during visiting hours. Reluctantly, the Rodriguez family said their goodbyes. Elena kissed Trevor's forehead like he was her own son. Raphael squeezed his shoulder. Rosa hugged him carefully, avoiding his bandages. Thank you for giving us our sister back. Take care of her, Trevor said. And tell her when she wakes up, tell her I'm fine. Tell her not to worry about me. Just focus on getting better. They promised they would. Outside Trevor's recovery bay, they found Dr. Wong conferring with another doctor over a chart. She looked up as they approached. Good timing. Ms. Rodriguez is waking up. Would you like to see her? They practically ran to Camila's recovery bay. She was in worse shape than Trevor, connected to more machines with more tubes and monitors. Her skin had a grayish tint that scared Rosa. But her eyes were fluttering open. Camila. Elena was there instantly, smoothing back her daughter's hair. Sweetheart, can you hear me? Camila's eyes focused slowly. Her lips moved but no sound came out. A nurse adjusted something on one of the machines and handed Camila a small cup of ice chips. Just tiny sips. Your throat will be sore from the breathing tube. Camila took an ice chip, let it melt on her tongue. Finally, she managed to whisper, What happened? You had a liver transplant, Raphael told her gently. You're going to be okay, Mija. You're going to be just fine. The donor? Camila's voice was barely audible. Family? Rosa and Elena looked at each other. This was the moment they'd been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. It was Trevor, Rosa said quietly. Trevor donated part of his liver to you. Camila's eyes went wide. She tried to sit up and immediately gasped in pain, falling back against the pillows. No, I told you not to call him. I told you. We didn't call him, Elena interrupted. The hospital did. His name was in the system as a potential match from years ago. The nurses called before we even knew. And Camila, when he found out you needed help, he didn't hesitate. Not for 1 second. Where is he? Camila's eyes darted around like she could see through the curtains to the rest of the recovery ward. Is he okay? Tell me he's okay. He's fine, Raphael assured her. He came through the surgery perfectly. He's 2 bays over, resting. Dr. Wong says both of you will make full recoveries. Tears spilled down Camila's cheeks. I can't believe he did this. After everything, after the divorce, after how I treated him, he loves you, Rosa said simply. He never stopped loving you, Camila. And before you start feeling guilty or trying to figure out how to pay him back, he specifically told us to tell you this doesn't mean you owe him anything. He said it was just the right thing to do. Of course he'd say that. Camila was crying harder now, the tears coming faster. That's so Trevor. Always taking care of everyone else, never asking for anything back. He asked for one thing, Elena said. He asked us to tell you not to worry about him. Just focus on getting better. Camila closed her eyes, but the tears kept falling. I need to see him. Tomorrow, the nurse said firmly. Both of you need rest tonight. Trust me, you'll feel terrible if you try to move around. Tomorrow morning, if you're both stable, we can wheel you to the same recovery room. Promise? Camila looked at the nurse with desperate eyes. Promise? Camila seemed to accept this, though reluctantly. She took another ice chip. Mom, did you bring my phone? It's at home charging, Elena lied smoothly. Camila's phone was actually in Elena's purse, but the last thing her daughter needed right now was to be trying to text or call people while recovering from major surgery. I need to call work. Tell them I'll be out for a few days. Already done, Rosa said. Your boss knows what happened. He said to take all the time you need and your job will be waiting. Camila nodded slowly, her eyelids drooping. The pain medication was pulling her back under. Trevor's really okay, she mumbled. He's really okay, Raphael promised. Good. That's good. Camila's words were slurring. Tell him I'm sorry. For everything. Tell him. She was asleep before she could finish the sentence. The Rodriguez family stood around Camila's bed, watching her breathe. The machines beeped steadily, reassuring in their consistency. After a few minutes, Dr. Wong appeared again. She'll sleep for several hours now. You should all go home. Get real rest. Come back in the morning. Both of them will need family support over the next few weeks. This time they listened. Elena was swaying on her feet from exhaustion. Raphael looked like he might fall asleep standing up. Rosa's eyes burned from crying and lack of sleep. They left the hospital at 9:30 p.m., stepping out into cool night air that felt like a blessing after hours of recycled hospital atmosphere. Raphael drove them to Elena's house, the same house where Camila and Rosa had grown up, a small blue bungalow with a garden in front that Elena tended obsessively. Inside, the house smelled like the candles Elena always burned, vanilla and cinnamon. Rosa collapsed on the couch while Elena and Raphael went to their bedroom. Within minutes, the house was silent except for the ticking of the old grandfather clock in the hallway. Rosa pulled out her phone one last time before sleeping. She opened her photo album and found another picture of Trevor and Camila, this one from a family barbecue 2 years before the divorce. They were playing with Rosa's neighbor's kids, Trevor giving a little girl a piggyback ride while Camila chased them with a water balloon. Both were laughing, carefree, happy. That's what they deserved. That happiness. That ease. Whatever it took, Rosa was going to help them find their way back to each other. They'd been given a second chance. She wasn't going to let them waste it. She texted Carlos one more time. They're both okay. Surgery went perfectly. I'll call you tomorrow. His response came immediately, thank God. Get some sleep, babe. Love you. Rosa put her phone on the coffee table and closed her eyes. Within seconds she was asleep, dreaming of weddings and second chances. The next morning arrived too bright and too early. Rosa woke at 6 a.m. to the smell of her mother's cooking. She found Elena in the kitchen making enough food to feed 20 people. Scrambled eggs, bacon, pancakes, fresh fruit, and homemade salsa. Mama, who's going to eat all this? Rosa asked, pouring herself coffee. We're taking it to the hospital. Trevor needs proper food, not that terrible cafeteria stuff. Camila too, once she's allowed to eat solid foods. Elena flipped a pancake expertly. Raphael went to get more groceries. I'm making soup for later. Rosa couldn't argue with the logic. Hospital food was notoriously terrible. She helped her mother pack everything into containers, and by 8 a.m. they were back in Raphael's car heading to Metropolitan General. The hospital looked different in morning light. Less intimidating, more mundane. Just a building full of people trying to heal. They navigated the now familiar route to the recovery ward, arms full of food containers. Trevor was awake, sitting up slightly in his bed, looking significantly better than he had the night before. Some color had returned to his face. He was drinking water through a straw and talking to a nurse who was checking his vitals. How's our hero this morning? Elena asked, setting down her containers on the rolling table beside his bed. Trevor smiled. It was still weak, but genuine. Sore. Really sore. But alive. How's Camila? We haven't seen her yet, Rosa admitted. We came to you first. Wanted to make sure you ate something good. Elena started unpacking food. The nurse laughed. Mrs. Rodriguez, hospital policy says patients have to eat from the cafeteria. Hospital policy can make an exception, Elena said firmly. This boy just saved my daughter's life. He gets real eggs. The nurse, a woman named Patricia who'd been working this ward for 20 years, took one look at Elena's face and wisely chose not to argue. I'll just note in the chart that family brought supplemental nutrition. Trevor accepted a plate of eggs and bacon gratefully. This smells amazing. Thank you, Elena. You call me Mama, Elena corrected. Like you used to. Something softened in Trevor's expression. Thank you, Mama. They sat with him while he ate, catching him up on the logistics. Dr. Wong wanted both him and Camila to stay in the hospital for at least a week. Trevor's firm was covered. Nicole was handling everything and sent her best wishes. Camila's job had given her medical leave with full pay. The insurance companies were sorting out the complex billing, but Elena had already talked to the hospital's financial aid office to make sure neither Trevor nor Camila would be bankrupted by this. You didn't have to do that, Trevor protested when Elena mentioned the financial arrangements. You gave my daughter a piece of your body. I can handle some paperwork. Elena's tone left no room for argument. At 9:30 a.m. Dr. Wong made her rounds. She checked Trevor's incision, examined his chart, and declared herself satisfied with his progress. You're healing beautifully, Mr. Hayes. If you continue like this, you might be able to go home in 5 days instead of 7. Can I see Camila today? Trevor asked. Let me check on her first. If she's stable and comfortable, I'll have you both move to a shared room. Might be good for both of your recoveries to see each other. Dr. Wong made notes on her tablet and moved on to her next patient. 30 minutes later, orderlies were wheeling both Trevor and Camila to a larger private room on the 5th floor. It had 2 hospital beds separated by a curtain that could be pulled for privacy, a window with a view of the city, and enough space for visitors. Trevor was positioned first, his bed adjusted so he could sit up comfortably. Then they wheeled in Camila. She looked better than she had the night before, though still frighteningly pale and fragile. Her dark hair was tangled, and there were circles under her eyes. But she was awake and alert, and the moment she saw Trevor, her face crumpled. "Don't cry," Trevor said immediately. "You'll hurt your incision if you cry too hard. Don't tell me not to cry." Camila's voice was stronger than last night, though still hoarse. "You gave me part of your liver, Trevor. Your liver. Do you understand how insane that is?" "It's not insane. It's just biology. After everything I put you through. After how we ended. After 2 years of not speaking, you just showed up and... She couldn't finish the sentence, too overcome with emotion. The nurse and orderlies finished setting up Camila's bed and monitors, then tactfully left, pulling the door shut behind them. Elena, Raphael, and Rosa stepped out into the hallway to give Trevor and Camila privacy. Through the small window in the door, Rosa could see them looking at each other across the space between their beds. Inside the room, Trevor and Camila stared at each other. 2 years since they'd been in the same space. 2 years since they'd spoken face to face. The divorce papers had been signed remotely through lawyers, avoiding this exact situation. "You look terrible," Camila said finally, and despite everything, it came out almost affectionate. "You look worse," Trevor replied, and the corner of his mouth twitched. "Though still beautiful. Don't do that. Don't be sweet to me right now. I don't deserve it. Camila, you literally just had major surgery. If there was ever a time for me to be sweet to you, it's now. I told them not to call you." Camila's hands twisted in her blanket. "I specifically made Rosa promise not to drag you back into my life. This wasn't supposed to happen. The hospital called me automatically. Your family didn't drag me anywhere. I came because I wanted to." Trevor shifted slightly, wincing at the pull on his stitches. "And before you start trying to figure out how to repay me or insisting you owe me something, you don't. This wasn't a transaction. It was the right thing to do." "Right thing to do," Camila repeated, her voice thick with unshed tears. "Trevor, we're divorced. You don't owe me anything. I don't get to ask anything of you ever again. But you gave me part of your body anyway. Camila, what did you expect? Did you think I'd get that call and say no? That I'd just let you die because we signed some papers? That's not who I am. You know that." "I know." The tears spilled over. "That's what makes this so much worse. You're still the same person you always were. Kind and generous and selfless. And I'm still the person who walked away from you. You were scared. I was a coward. You were human." Trevor's voice was gentle. "We both made mistakes, Mila. We both said things we shouldn't have. We both let fear and pride and stubbornness destroy something beautiful. But that doesn't mean I stopped caring about you. That doesn't mean I'd ever just let you die if I could prevent it." Camila wiped at her face with the back of her hand, trying to pull herself together. "How are you so calm about this? You literally had major surgery yesterday because of me?" "I'm calm because you're alive. That's all that matters." "God, Trevor." Camila laughed wetly. "You make it sound so simple." "It is simple. You needed help. I could provide it. End of story. Except it's not the end of the story. We're both going to be in this hospital for days, possibly weeks. We're going to have to see each other, talk to each other, deal with all the things we've been avoiding for 2 years. Would that be so terrible?" Trevor asked quietly. "Having to talk to me?" Camila met his eyes. "No, that's the problem. I've missed you. Every day for 2 years I've missed you. Missed talking to you, missed hearing your voice, missed knowing what you were thinking about. Missed having you be the person I told things to. And now you've done this incredible, impossible thing, and all I can think is that I don't deserve any of it. Stop deciding what you deserve. That's not your call to make." Trevor's voice was firm but not unkind. "Camila, we have a second chance here. To at least be friends again if nothing else. To not have this weird awkward silence between us. Can we try that? Just talking like we used to." Camila was quiet for a long moment, studying his face. Finally she nodded. "Okay, we can try that." "Good." Trevor relaxed slightly. "So tell me what happened. How did you get sick?" Camila explained about the autoimmune hepatitis, the months of symptoms she'd ignored, the diagnosis that came too late, the treatments that didn't work. Trevor listened, his expression growing more concerned with every detail. Why didn't you tell anyone sooner? He asked when she finished. Because I'm an idiot who thought she could handle everything alone. Camila shook her head at her own stupidity. I was working 60-hour weeks at the nonprofit. I was stressed and tired all the time anyway. I told myself it was just burnout. By the time I collapsed at work and they forced me to go to the hospital, the damage was extensive. You were always terrible at taking care of yourself, Trevor said. Remember when you got that flu and refused to stay home from work? I had to literally hide your car keys. You drove me to work anyway because you said you wouldn't let me take the bus while sick. Because you're stubborn. Because I'm dedicated, Camila corrected, but she was smiling slightly. This felt familiar, safe. The easy banter they'd once shared. A soft knock on the door interrupted them. Rosa poked her head in. Is it safe to come in? Yeah, Camila called. Come in. The Rodriguez family filed back in, along with a nurse bringing lunch trays. The nurse took one look at Elena's containers and sighed. Let me guess you brought more food? Just soup for Camila, Elena said innocently. Once the doctor says she can have it. The nurse checked Camila's chart. Actually, Dr. Wong approved solid food starting today. Bland diet only. Broth, jello, plain crackers. My soup is bland, Elena protested. Very healing. Lots of vegetables. The nurse gave in with good grace, recognizing a battle she couldn't win. She left the lunch trays and departed. Elena immediately started spooning her homemade chicken soup into a bowl for Camila, who accepted it gratefully. This is so much better than hospital food, Camila said after the first spoonful. Thank you, Mama. Trevor ate his own lunch, watching the family interact. He'd missed this. The warmth, the easy affection, the way Elena fussed over everyone, the way Raphael told terrible jokes to make people laugh. This had been his family too once. He'd lost them in the divorce almost as much as he'd lost Camila. Are you someone who believes people deserve second chances? Do you think love can survive even the hardest mistakes? Drop a comment and let me know what you'd do in Trevor's situation, and make sure you subscribe so you never miss another story about hope, healing, and the power of choosing love over pride. After lunch, Raphael suggested they watch something on TV to pass the time. He found a channel showing nature documentaries, and they spent the afternoon watching programs about coral reefs and rainforests. Camila fell asleep halfway through the second documentary, exhausted by the simple act of being awake and eating. Rosa and Elena stepped out to get coffee, leaving Trevor and Raphael alone with sleeping Camila. Raphael moved his chair closer to Trevor's bed. I owe you an apology, Raphael said quietly. When you and Camila divorced, I was angry. I blamed you. I thought you gave up on my daughter without fighting. You had every right to think that, Trevor replied. From the outside, that's exactly what it looked like. But that's not what happened. Rosa told us what really went on. About the miscommunication, about Camila pushing you away, about both of you being too proud to be honest. I should have tried to understand instead of judging. You were protecting your daughter. I respect that. Still, you deserved better from me. From all of us. Raphael glanced at sleeping Camila. She talked about you sometimes. Usually late at night when she thought no one was listening. She'd say she made a mistake. That she should have fought harder. That she let the best thing in her life walk away. Trevor's throat tightened. She said that? Many times. I think she was planning to reach out to you eventually. But then she got sick and I don't know, maybe she thought you'd moved on. That you'd found someone else and wouldn't want to hear from her. I never moved on, Trevor admitted. I tried. Went on a few dates. But it was like trying to eat cardboard when you've tasted actual food. Nothing compared. Raphael nodded understanding. When you love someone the way you two loved each other, there's no getting over it. There's only learning to live with the hole they left behind. Pretty depressing way to put it. I'm a security guard and a painter. Poetry isn't my strength. Raphael smiled. But Trevor, you have a chance here. A real chance to fix what broke. Don't waste it. Before Trevor could respond, Camila stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, focusing on her father and ex-husband. What are you two conspiring about? Nothing, Raphael said innocently. Just talking about art. Liar. I know that tone. That's your trying to fix your daughter's life tone. I have no idea what you mean. Camila laughed, then immediately clutched her side. Oh, don't make me laugh. It hurts. Sorry, Mija. Raphael patted her hand apologetically. Your mother and Rosa should be back soon with coffee. You want anything? Ice chips. My throat is so dry. Raphael went to find a nurse to get ice chips, leaving Trevor and Camila alone again. The afternoon sun streamed through the window, painting everything golden. On the TV, a nature documentary narrator was describing the mating habits of birds of paradise. Trevor? Camila's voice was soft. Yeah. When I get out of here, when we're both recovered, can we maybe get coffee? Just, as friends? Catch up properly? Trevor looked at her, at the woman he'd never stopped loving, at the second chance they'd been given in the most dramatic way possible. I'd like that. Okay. Good. They smiled at each other across the space between their beds, and for the first time in 2 years, the future felt like something other than an empty road. The hours blurred together in that strange way time moved in hospitals, where nothing changed but somehow days passed. Trevor and Camila settled into a routine dictated by nurses, doctors, vital checks, medication schedules, and the slow, patient work of healing. Dr. Wong visited twice daily, examining their incisions, checking their labs, adjusting medications. You're both healing ahead of schedule, she announced on day 3. Mr. Hayes, your liver is regenerating beautifully. Ms. Rodriguez, your body is accepting the transplant with minimal complications. Whatever you're both doing, keep doing it. What they were doing mostly was talking. Hours and hours of talking, filling in the gaps of 2 years apart. Trevor told Camila about the projects his firm had completed. A community center in the warehouse district. A renovated school on the east side. A small medical clinic that served low-income families. That one was actually inspired by you, Trevor admitted. Remember how you used to talk about healthcare access? How people in poor neighborhoods couldn't get to doctors? I designed the clinic pro bono. Nicole thought I was crazy taking on work for free when we had bills to pay, but I couldn't stop thinking about what you'd said. Camila listened, her heart aching. I never knew you did that. Why would you? We weren't speaking. Trevor shrugged, then winced as the motion pulled his stitches. But yeah. Your voice was in my head the whole time, telling me architecture could be about more than just buildings. That it could improve lives. My voice is bossy, Camila said. Your voice is inspiring. Camila told Trevor about her work at the nonprofit, the programs they'd expanded, the families they'd helped. We doubled our reach this year. Got funding for a new literacy program. I met this woman, Angela, whose kids were struggling in school. We got them tutors, supplies, support. Her oldest daughter just got accepted to college. First in her family to go. You changed their lives, Trevor said. We gave them opportunities. They changed their own lives. Still bossy, Trevor teased, and Camila threw a wadded-up napkin at him. The Rodriguez family visited daily, bringing food, staying for hours, creating a warm bubble of normalcy in the sterile hospital room. Elena fussed over both of them equally, adjusting blankets, bringing extra pillows, checking water cups. Raphael told stories about his latest mural project, a massive piece covering an entire building downtown. Rosa brought books and magazines, stayed late into the evenings just talking. On day 4, Nicole Chen came to visit Trevor. She was a sharp woman in her mid-30s, wearing bright red slacks and a white silk blouse, her black hair cut in a severe bob that somehow made her look both professional and approachable. She carried a briefcase and a bag of expensive coffee. You look terrible, she announced, setting the coffee on Trevor's table. But alive, which is more than I expected when I got your text about a family emergency. Thanks, Nicole. Your sympathy is overwhelming. You know I'm not the sympathy type. I'm the get things done type, which is why your firm is still running smoothly despite you being in here. Nicole pulled up a chair, nodded politely to Camila. Hi, I'm Nicole. Trevor's business partner. Camila. Trevor's ex-wife. The famous Camila. Heard a lot about you. Nothing good, I'm sure. Actually, all good. Trevor's terrible at trash talking. Even after the divorce, he'd just get this sad look whenever someone mentioned you. Nicole accepted a cup of the good coffee she'd brought and took a sip. So, how's the recovery going? Trevor filled her in on his progress. Nicole listened, making mental notes. Right. So you'll probably be out in another few days. Then what, a month before you can come back to work? Dr. Wong said 6 weeks minimum. Fantastic. We have 3 projects due in that time frame. Nicole. I'm kidding. Mostly. I've already rescheduled meetings and brought in Paolo to help with the drafting work. Everything's covered. You focus on healing. Nicole's expression softened slightly. You did a good thing, Trevor. A crazy thing, but a good thing. After Nicole left, promising to visit again later in the week, Camila looked at Trevor thoughtfully. She cares about you. Nicole's a good friend. Is that all she is? Trevor caught the note in Camila's voice. Yes, that's all. Nicole is married with 2 kids. She's my business partner and my friend. Nothing more. Never has been. Camila looked embarrassed. Sorry? I shouldn't have implied anything. You're allowed to ask questions. Not about your personal life. That's not my place anymore. Camila, you're allowed to be curious about whether I dated anyone after you. For the record, I went on 3 dates in 2 years. None of them went anywhere because none of them were you. Camila was quiet for a moment. I didn't date anyone either. Couldn't. Every man I met, I'd compare them to you and they'd come up short. The air between them felt heavy with things unsaid. Before either could speak, a nurse came in to check vitals and the moment passed. That evening, after the Rodriguez family had gone home and the hospital settled into nighttime quiet, Camila couldn't sleep. The medications made her drowsy but her mind was too active, spinning through memories and questions and possibilities. Trevor? She whispered into the darkness. You awake? Yeah. His voice came from across the room. Can't get comfortable. Me neither. Camila stared at the ceiling. Can I ask you something? Always. Why did you really leave? That night we fought when I asked for space. Why did you move out so fast? Trevor was quiet for so long Camila thought he might have fallen asleep. Finally he spoke. Because I thought that's what you wanted. You said you needed space. You said you felt suffocated. I thought if I gave you physical distance you could breathe again. I thought I was doing what you asked. I didn't want you to leave. I wanted you to fight for us. How was I supposed to know that? You told me you needed space. You didn't say you wanted me to argue with you about it. I know. I know I didn't communicate clearly. But Trevor, the way you just packed up and left the next day, it felt like you'd been waiting for an excuse. Like you were relieved to go. Relieved? Trevor's voice rose slightly, then he moderated it back to a whisper. Camila, leaving you was the hardest thing I've ever done. I cried for 3 hours at Nicole's apartment that first night. I slept on her couch for a week because I couldn't stand the thought of finding my own place, making it permanent. Every morning I'd wake up and think about coming back, apologizing, begging you to let me come home. But you never called. You never texted. You seemed fine without me. I wasn't fine. I was a mess. Rosa was bringing me food because I kept forgetting to eat. I'd come home to our apartment and it felt so empty without you there. But I was too proud to admit I was wrong. Too stubborn to reach out first. So we just, suffered separately instead of together? Apparently. They were both quiet again. Outside, an ambulance siren wailed past the hospital. What happened to us? Camila asked softly. We were so good together at first. What changed? Life got hard, Trevor said. And instead of leaning on each other, we pulled apart. You started working longer hours. I took on more projects to distract myself from missing you. We stopped talking about real things and only discussed logistics. Who was buying groceries? When rent was due? Surface stuff. And we never addressed the real problems. What were the real problems? Trevor asked. Because I still don't think I fully understand what broke us. Camila thought about this. I think I was scared. Of how much I loved you. Of how much I needed you. I watched my cousin's marriage fall apart when I was a teenager. Her husband left her for someone else and she was destroyed. Couldn't function for months. And I remember thinking, I'll never let anyone have that much power over me. I'll never need someone so much that I'd fall apart without them. But you did need me. I did. And it terrified me. So I started pulling away. Creating distance. Trying to prove to myself I could survive alone. By the time I realized what I was doing, the damage was done. Trevor processed this. I wish you'd told me that then. I wish I'd understood it then. I only figured it out through therapy after the divorce. You went to therapy? For about 8 months. It helped. Made me see a lot of things more clearly. Like how my fear of vulnerability sabotaged our marriage. I should have gone to therapy too, Trevor admitted. Instead I just threw myself into work and pretended everything was fine. We're both really good at pretending everything's fine. Yeah, we are. Another long silence. This time it felt less heavy. More contemplative. Trevor? Camila said eventually. When we get out of here, can we maybe, try again? Not jumping back into a relationship but just spending time together? Actually talking through our issues instead of running away from them? Trevor's heart stuttered in his chest. Are you sure that's what you want? We tried once and it didn't work. We were different people then. Younger, more stubborn, less self-aware. Maybe we've both grown enough to do better this time. Maybe. So is that a yes to trying again? It's a yes to coffee dates and long conversations and taking things slow, Trevor said. It's a yes to being honest instead of hiding. It's a yes to actually working through problems instead of letting them fester. But Camila, if we do this, we do it right. No running away when things get hard. No assumptions or miscommunication. We talk about everything. Deal? Camila agreed. Complete honesty. Complete honesty. They both smiled in the darkness, feeling something like hope for the first time in years. Morning came with the familiar routine of nurses, medication, breakfast trays, and vital checks. But something had shifted overnight. Trevor and Camila looked at each other differently now. Less guarded. More open. Rosa noticed immediately when she arrived around 9 a.m. She looked between them, eyebrows raised. Okay, what happened? You two look different. Nothing happened, Camila said innocently. We just talked. And we're going to try being friends again, Trevor supplied. Properly this time. Rosa's face lit up. That's wonderful. Really, that's great. Mom's going to be so happy. Don't tell your mom anything yet, Camila warned. We're taking things slow. No pressure, no expectations, just seeing what happens. My lips are sealed. Rosa mimed zipping her mouth shut. But for the record, I think this is the best decision you've both made in years. Dr. Wong's morning visit brought good news. Both Trevor and Camila's lab results were excellent. I'm impressed, Dr. Wong admitted. Ms. Rodriguez, your liver function is improving faster than I expected. Mr. Hayes, your remaining liver is regenerating ahead of schedule. Barring any complications, you could both potentially be discharged by the end of the week. Home? Camila perked up. Really? Home with strict instructions for rest and follow-up care. But yes, home. Dr. Wong made notes on her tablet. You'll need help. Someone to check on you daily, assist with tasks, monitor for complications. Do you both have adequate support systems? I'll stay with my parents, Camila said immediately. And I have Nicole, Trevor said. She's already offered to have her husband check on me daily. Dr. Wong nodded approval. Good. I'll start the discharge paperwork. We'll aim for Friday if your Thursday labs come back clear. After Dr. Wong left, Elena arrived with more food and news. Your apartment, Camila. Rosa and I went by to water your plants and pick up some things. The lease is up next month. Oh. Camila hadn't thought about that. I'll need to figure out what to do. Come stay with us, Elena said immediately. At least until you're fully recovered. Your old room is exactly as you left it. Mama, I'm 32. I can't move back into my childhood bedroom. Why not? You need help. We have space. It makes sense. Raphael arrived shortly after, carrying his tablet to show them photos of his latest mural. It's almost done. Took 3 months, but it's worth it. You should see it in person when you're both feeling better. The day passed pleasantly. Carlos, Rosa's boyfriend, stopped by around lunch with flowers for Camila and a box of good chocolates for everyone to share. He was a kind man, an elementary school teacher with an easy smile and gentle manner. He and Trevor talked about sports and Carlos's students while Rosa and Camila caught up on family gossip. Around 3 p.m., a woman Trevor didn't recognize knocked on the door. She was in her mid-40s, professionally dressed in a navy pantsuit, with graying hair and sharp intelligent eyes behind red-framed glasses. Camila? She approached the bed with a warm smile. I'm so glad to see you awake. Dr. Foster. Camila's face lit up. What are you doing here? I heard through the hospital grapevine about your transplant. Thought I'd check in on my former patient. Dr. Benjamin Foster pulled up a chair. How are you feeling? Much better. Dr. Foster, this is Trevor Hayes. My ex-husband and organ donor. Trevor, this is Dr. Benjamin Foster. He was my therapist after the divorce. Trevor shook the doctor's hand. Nice to meet you. Likewise. Camila talked about you extensively in our sessions. Dr. Foster's eyes twinkled with amusement at Camila's immediate blush. All good things, I assure you. Traitor, Camila muttered. Dr. Foster chatted with them for a few minutes, then turned serious. Camila, Trevor, I don't want to overstep. But given the unique circumstances you're in, recovering from a major medical event that connects you both, I want to offer something. Once you're discharged, if you're interested, I'd be happy to facilitate some joint counseling sessions. Not couples therapy per se, but a space to discuss what you're both going through and how to navigate your relationship moving forward. Trevor and Camila exchanged glances. That might be helpful, Trevor said slowly. I agree, Camila added. If you're willing to take us on. I'd be honored. Just call my office when you're ready. Dr. Foster stood, shook both their hands again and left. That was unexpected, Trevor said after the door closed. But good, Camila replied. Right? Having a professional help us navigate this. Yeah. Good. That evening, after visitors had left and the hospital quieted for the night, Camila's phone rang. Elena had brought it earlier, fully charged. Camila answered without checking the caller ID. Hello. Camila, darling, I heard you were in the hospital. The voice made Camila's entire body tense. Christine Warner. Her former supervisor at the nonprofit. Hi, Christine. I'm so sorry I didn't call sooner. I've been traveling for work and only just heard the news. How are you feeling? I'm recovering. I had a liver transplant. Oh my goodness, that's serious. Do they know what caused it? Camila explained about the autoimmune hepatitis. Christine made sympathetic noises throughout. Then she said, and I heard your ex-husband was the donor? That must be awkward. It's not awkward. It's generous. Well, yes, of course. But darling, you need to be careful. Men like that, they think doing something grand gives them a claim on you. He's probably expecting you to feel obligated to him. Camila's jaw tightened. Trevor's not like that. All men are like that, darling. They do favors and keep score. You're better off keeping your distance once you're healed. Christine, I appreciate your concern, but Trevor donated because he's a good person. Not because he wants something from me. If you say so. Just be cautious, alright? You worked so hard to build an independent life after your divorce. Don't let him pull you back in. After the call ended, Camila sat staring at her phone, feeling unsettled. Christine had been the one encouraging her to prioritize work over marriage, telling her she didn't need a husband to be complete, pushing her to create distance from Trevor. At the time, Camila had thought Christine was being supportive. Now, looking back, she wondered if Christine had been projecting her own bitter divorce onto Camila's marriage. That didn't sound like a fun conversation, Trevor observed from his bed. It wasn't. That was Christine, my old supervisor. She's not Trevor's biggest fan. I gathered that from your side of the conversation. Camila set her phone on the bedside table. Trevor, can I tell you something? Always. When we were married, Christine used to talk to me a lot about independence. About not losing myself in a relationship. About making sure I maintain my own identity separate from being your wife. And I thought she was looking out for me, helping me stay strong. But I think maybe she was actually encouraging me to push you away. To see connection as weakness instead of strength. Why would she do that? Because she was divorced and bitter, and maybe she didn't want me to have what she'd lost. Camila's voice was sad. I let her voice get into my head, Trevor. I let her convince me that needing you was a flaw instead of part of loving you. And I almost destroyed us because of it. But you didn't destroy us. We're still here. Barely. And only because you refused to give up on me even when I gave you every reason to. Camila, we both made mistakes. You're not solely responsible for the divorce. Maybe not. But I own my part in it. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for listening to bad advice instead of trusting what we had. Trevor wished he could cross the room and hold her. I forgive you. And I'm sorry too for not fighting harder. For leaving when you asked for space instead of insisting we work through our problems together. We were both doing the best we could with the tools we had. Yeah, we were. They were quiet for a while, processing. Then Trevor said, I'm glad Dr. Foster offered to see us. I think we need professional help navigating this second chance. Me too. I don't want to repeat our past mistakes. Neither do I. The night stretched on. They talked about smaller things now, lighter topics. Books they'd read, shows they'd watched, places they wanted to travel someday. They laughed together, something that had once come so naturally and now felt like rediscovering a forgotten skill. Around midnight, a nurse came to check on them one final time before shift change. You two should be sleeping, she scolded gently. Sorry, Camila said, not sounding sorry at all. The nurse smiled knowingly and left. Trevor and Camila settled into their beds, but neither closed their eyes quite yet. Good night, Mila, Trevor whispered. Good night, Trevor. This time, the darkness felt comfortable instead of lonely. For the first time since the divorce, neither of them went to sleep feeling alone. Thursday arrived with perfect lab results for both patients. Dr. Wong confirmed Friday discharge pending final checks. The news brought excitement and nervousness in equal measure. You'll need to take it easy for at least a month, Dr. Wong reminded them. No heavy lifting, no strenuous activity, lots of rest. Follow-up appointments every week initially, then every 2 weeks, then monthly. Any fever, excessive pain, or unusual symptoms, you call me immediately. We understand, Trevor and Camila said in unison, then smiled at each other. Elena spent Thursday preparing. She cleaned Camila's childhood bedroom, set up a comfortable space for recovering, stocked the house with approved foods from Dr. Wong's dietary guidelines. Raphael installed a grab bar in the bathroom for extra safety. Rosa prepared a care schedule, dividing responsibilities among family members. Nicole did the same for Trevor, though his support system was smaller. She arranged for her husband Marcus to stop by Trevor's apartment twice daily. She stocked his fridge with easy-to-reheat meals. She set up a system where Trevor could text her anytime day or night if he needed something. "You're a good friend," Trevor told her during her Thursday visit. "Your family," Nicole replied simply. "When you started the firm with me 5 years ago, I was a struggling single mother with a dream and no capital. You fronted the money for our first office space. You worked 16-hour days for a year until we were profitable. You never asked me to pay you back. So yeah, I'm going to make sure you recover properly from major surgery." "I forgot about that," Trevor admitted. "The loan. That's because you're terrible at keeping score. Most people would have thrown that in my face by now. You just quietly helped and moved on." Nicole squeezed his hand. "Let me return the favor." That afternoon, Dr. Foster returned as promised. He brought coffee for himself and juice boxes for Trevor and Camila, then settled into a chair between their beds. "So," he began, "I wanted to meet with you both before discharge. Establish some groundwork for our sessions and make sure you understand what you're signing up for." "We're listening," Camila said. "Joint therapy is different from individual work. It requires both of you to be vulnerable, honest, and willing to hear difficult truths about yourselves and each other. It means examining why your marriage ended and whether those issues can be resolved. It means doing hard emotional work when you're also recovering from physical trauma. Are you both prepared for that?" Trevor and Camila looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. "We're prepared," Trevor said. "Good. Then let's start with an easy question. What do you both want from this process?" "I want to understand what went wrong," Camila said immediately. "Really understand it, not just surface-level blame. I want to know how to avoid those same mistakes if we try again." "I want to learn how to communicate better," Trevor added. "How to express what I need without feeling demanding. How to ask for what I want without expecting Camila to read my mind." Dr. Foster nodded, taking notes. "Those are excellent starting points. Now, harder question. Are you both open to the possibility that therapy might reveal you're better apart than together? That sometimes love isn't enough?" This one made them pause. Finally, Camila spoke. "I'm open to that possibility. But I don't think that's where we'll end up. I think we broke because we didn't know how to handle problems, not because we were fundamentally incompatible." "I agree with Camila," Trevor said. "We were good together. We just needed better tools." "All right. Then here's what I propose. Weekly sessions starting 2 weeks after discharge to give you both time to physically recover. Each session will be 90 minutes. We'll work through communication patterns, attachment styles, conflict resolution, boundary setting, and long-term compatibility. Sound manageable?" "Sounds perfect," Camila said. Dr. Foster scheduled their first session for 3 weeks out, then spent another hour talking them through exercises they could practice at home. Ways to express feelings without blame. Techniques for active listening. Methods for de-escalating conflicts before they spiraled. "The fact that you're both willing to do this work speaks volumes," Dr. Foster said as he prepared to leave. "Many couples give up before they even try. You two are choosing to fight for your relationship. That matters." After he left, Rosa arrived with Carlos to visit. They brought cards and games, and the four of them spent the evening playing Uno and making each other laugh. It felt normal, easy, like hanging out with friends instead of recovering from major surgery. "You two are good together," Trevor observed, watching Rosa and Carlos interact. "How long have you been dating?" 2 years next month, Carlos said, his arm around Rosa's shoulders. "I keep trying to convince her to move in together, but she says her parents would have a heart attack." "They would," Rosa confirmed. "Very traditional. No living together before marriage. So I guess I better propose soon, huh?" Carlos grinned as Rosa's face went bright red. "Carlos. What? You think I'm joking? I've had a ring for 3 months. Just waiting for the right moment." Rosa looked between shocked and delighted. "You have a ring? Might have mentioned it, yeah." Camila and Trevor watched them with matching smiles. This was what healthy looked like. Easy affection, clear communication, plans made together. This was what they'd once had and could hopefully build again. That night, after everyone had left, Trevor and Camila lay in their separate beds in comfortable silence. Tomorrow they'd leave this room. Tomorrow they'd return to their separate lives with their separate support systems. Tomorrow they'd start the slow work of healing, both physically and emotionally. I'm nervous, Camila admitted, about leaving the hospital. Here we're in this bubble where everything's focused on recovery. Out there real life happens. Work and bills and a million distractions. We'll make it work, Trevor said. We have a plan now. Therapy, honest communication, taking things slow. As long as we stick to that, we'll be okay. Promise? I promise to do my best. That's all I can promise. That's enough. They fell asleep facing each other across the narrow space between their beds, both of them smiling. Friday morning brought a flurry of activity. Nurses removed IVs and monitoring equipment. Doctors signed discharge papers. Pharmacists delivered prescriptions with detailed instructions. Physical therapists demonstrated safe movements and exercises. Dietitians provided meal plans. The information was overwhelming, but both Trevor and Camila took careful notes. Elena arrived early with comfortable clothes for Camila to wear home. She'd chosen a loose purple dress that wouldn't irritate the surgical site. Raphael brought a wheelchair, as did Nicole for Trevor, hospital policy for all discharged patients. Ready? Dr. Wong asked, doing her final examination on both patients. Any last questions? Will we see each other at follow-up appointments? Trevor asked. You'll have separate schedules initially to avoid overwhelming the clinic. But yes, occasionally your appointments might overlap. Dr. Wong smiled. Try not to cause trouble in my waiting room. Us? Trouble? Never, Camila said innocently. They were wheeled out separately. Trevor left first, Nicole pushing his wheelchair while Marcus, her husband, carried bags of belongings. Nicole had parked close to the entrance, and they helped Trevor carefully into the passenger seat of her SUV. Comfortable? Nicole asked. As comfortable as someone with half a liver can be, Trevor replied, earning a laugh. They drove to Trevor's apartment, a modest one-bedroom place in a renovated building near downtown. Nicole and Marcus helped him inside, getting him settled on the couch with pillows, blankets, water, medications, and a TV remote within easy reach. I'll be back this evening with dinner, Nicole promised. Marcus will check on you at lunch. You need anything before then, call me. Day or night, doesn't matter. Thanks, Nicole. Really? After they left, Trevor sat in his apartment, alone for the first time in a week. Felt strange. Too quiet. He picked up his phone and texted Camila, made it home. How are you feeling? Her response came quickly, tired but good. Mom's already fussing. How's your place? Quiet. Missed the sound of hospital machines beeping. Liar. You hated those machines. Maybe I miss other sounds? Like you complaining about the machines. I never complained. I calmly expressed reasonable frustration. Trevor smiled at his phone. This felt right. Natural. Like they'd never stopped doing this. Meanwhile, at the Rodriguez house, Camila settled into her childhood bedroom. The room was exactly as she'd left it at 18, though cleaner. Posters of bands she'd loved in high school still covered one wall. Books lined shelves. A corkboard displayed photos from her teenage years. Elena had set up a small table beside the bed with water, medications, healthy snacks, and a bell to ring if Camila needed anything. I know you can walk, Elena said when Camila protested the bell. But I want you to rest. Let us help you. Mama, I'm going to be fine. Humor me. Rosa visited after work, bringing Thai food for dinner. The whole family ate together at the dining room table, Camila moving slowly but managing. They talked about everything and nothing. Raphael's mural. Rosa's upcoming anniversary with Carlos. Elena's garden plans for spring. Felt good. Normal. Like coming home after a long journey. Over the next 2 weeks, Trevor and Camila fell into separate routines. Trevor worked from home on laptop, doing design work that didn't require being in the office. Nicole brought him lunch most days, staying to chat and catch him up on projects. Marcus checked in regularly, helping with tasks like grocery shopping that Trevor couldn't manage yet. Camila spent her days reading, watching TV, taking short walks around the neighborhood with Rosa or Elena. She video called with colleagues, staying updated on work but not diving back in yet. Carlos came over several evenings, and she enjoyed watching Rosa's relationship blossom. And every day without fail, Trevor and Camila texted. Good morning messages. Photos of meals they'd eaten. Jokes about terrible daytime television. Updates on healing progress. Gradually the text grew longer. More personal. More like their old conversations. I had a dream about our wedding last night, Camila texted one afternoon. Remembered how you cried during your vows. I was overcome with emotion, Trevor replied. You looked so beautiful. Still the best day of my life. Mine too. Even knowing how things ended, I wouldn't change that day. Neither would I. 3 weeks after discharge, they had their first therapy session. Dr. Foster's office was in a quiet building near the university, full of plants and soft lighting. Trevor and Camila arrived separately but within minutes of each other, meeting in the waiting room. Hi, Camila said, suddenly shy. Hi yourself. Trevor smiled. You look good. Healthy. So do you? I like the beard. Trevor had stopped shaving during recovery, letting his facial hair grow out. It suited him. Thinking about keeping it? Thoughts. Keep it. Dr. Foster opened his office door. Ready? The session was harder than either expected. Dr. Foster asked difficult questions. Made them examine their individual roles in the divorce. Pushed them to articulate needs and fears they'd been avoiding. By the end of 90 minutes, both were emotionally exhausted. Same time next week? Dr. Foster asked as they prepared to leave. Yes, they said together. Outside the office, they stood on the sidewalk in afternoon sunshine. That was intense, Camila said. Very. But good. Yeah, good. Camila hesitated. Do you want to get coffee? I know a place nearby. I'd love to. They walked 3 blocks to a small cafe Camila remembered from college. Inside it smelled like roasted beans and fresh pastries. They ordered and found a corner table by the window. This feels like a real date, Trevor observed. Is that okay? It's perfect. They talked for 2 hours, covering everything from their therapy session to what books they were reading to childhood memories they'd never shared with each other before. The conversation flowed easily, naturally, like water finding its level. I forgot how easy you are to talk to, Camila said eventually. How I can say anything and you just listen without judgment. That's because I'm still half in love with you, Trevor said, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. Sorry? That was too much too soon. It's not too much. Camila reached across the table, taking his hand. Because I'm more than half in love with you. Probably never stopped being in love with you. Even when I was angry and hurt and convinced we were better apart, some part of me still loved you. Trevor's fingers intertwined with hers. So what do we do with that? We keep doing this. Therapy, coffee dates, honest conversations. We build something new instead of trying to resurrect what died. And we see where it goes. No rushing? No rushing, Camila confirmed. But no running away either. When things get hard, we face them together. Deal. They finished their coffee and walked outside, still holding hands. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Trevor walked Camila to her car, parked 2 blocks away. Thank you for today, Camila said when they reached her vehicle. For being willing to do this work with me. Thank you for being worth the work. Camila laughed, then stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. See you next week? Absolutely. She drove away and Trevor stood on the sidewalk watching her taillights disappear into traffic. For the first time since the divorce, he felt genuinely hopeful about the future. 6 months passed in a blur of therapy sessions, coffee dates, long walks, and longer conversations. Trevor and Camila learned to navigate their relationship with new tools, better communication, clearer boundaries. They learned to argue productively. They learned to ask for what they needed. They learned to support each other without losing themselves. Dr. Foster watched their progress with professional satisfaction. You've both grown tremendously, he said during what would be their final scheduled session. You're communicating effectively. Managing conflict well. Building a foundation based on honesty instead of assumption. I think you're ready to move forward without weekly sessions. Really? Camila looked both excited and nervous. You think we're ready? I think you have the tools you need. Of course, you can always come back if you hit rough patches. My door is always open. But yes, I think you're ready to build this relationship on your own. After the session, Trevor and Camila sat in his car in the parking lot. I can't believe it's been 6 months, Trevor said. Feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago simultaneously. I know what you mean. Camila looked at him. We've come so far. We have. Trevor took her hand. Camila, I need to ask you something. Okay. I love you. I never stopped loving you, but now it's different. Better. Built on truth instead of fantasy. And I know we said we'd take things slow, but 6 months feels like enough time to know what I want. Trevor took a deep breath. I want you back in my life. Fully. Not just coffee dates and therapy sessions. I want to wake up next to you. Fall asleep beside you. Build a life together properly this time. Camila's eyes filled with tears. Happy tears. I want that too. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely yes. They kissed in the parking lot like teenagers, both of them laughing and crying simultaneously. When they finally pulled apart, Trevor said, "So, should we look for a place together? Or do you want to move into my apartment? Or should I move in with you at your parents' house?" "Definitely not my parents' house," Camila said immediately. "I love them, but I'm 32 and ready to not live with Mama again. Maybe we look for something new? A fresh start? I like that idea." Over the next month, they apartment hunted together. It was harder than expected. Trevor wanted something close to his office. Camila wanted a neighborhood with good public transportation. Trevor cared about architectural details. Camila cared about closet space. They learned to compromise, to weigh priorities, to make decisions together. Finally, they found it. A 2-bedroom apartment in a renovated building halfway between Trevor's firm and Camila's nonprofit. Tall windows, exposed brick, modern kitchen, plenty of space. They signed the lease on a Friday afternoon and moved in the following weekend with help from family and friends. Nicole brought pizza for everyone. Rosa and Carlos helped carry boxes. Elena directed traffic like a general commanding troops. Raphael installed shelves and picture hooks. Marcus assembled furniture while his and Nicole's kids, 2 energetic girls aged 8 and 10, entertained everyone with stories. By Sunday evening, the apartment was livable. Not decorated yet, boxes still stacked in corners, but livable. Their families left around 8 p.m., leaving Trevor and Camila alone in their new space. "We did it," Camila said, collapsing on their newly assembled couch. "We actually have a place together." Trevor sat beside her, pulling her close. "Second chance done right. Think we'll make it this time?" "I know we will. Because we're different now. Smarter, more honest, better at handling problems. And because I refuse to ever lose you again." Camila tilted her head up to kiss him. "Good answer." They spent their first night in the new apartment eating takeout directly from containers and watching terrible reality TV. It was perfect. Simple, comfortable, exactly what they needed. 3 months later, on a sunny Saturday afternoon, Rosa and Carlos hosted a barbecue at Carlos's parents' house to celebrate their engagement. Carlos had finally proposed, creating an elaborate scavenger hunt around the city that ended with him on one knee in the park where they'd had their first date. Rosa had said yes immediately. The whole family was there. Elena and Raphael, multiple cousins, friends from work and school. Nicole brought her husband and daughters. Even Dr. Foster stopped by briefly to congratulate the happy couple. Trevor and Camila sat in the backyard, plates full of food, watching Rosa and Carlos move through the crowd accepting congratulations. "They're good together," Camila observed. "They are. Like us, but less dramatic." "We weren't that dramatic. Mila, we got divorced and then one of us donated a liver to the other. That's objectively dramatic." "Okay, fair point." Raphael approached with his phone, showing them photos of his completed downtown mural. It was stunning, a massive piece depicting the city's history in vibrant colors. "Grand unveiling is next month," Raphael said. "Both of you better be there." "Wouldn't miss it," Trevor promised. Elena appeared with dessert, homemade flan that she insisted they try immediately. "Too sweet?" she asked anxiously. "Perfect, Mama," Camila assured her. As the afternoon wore on, Trevor found himself thinking about everything that had led to this moment. The painful divorce, the midnight phone call, the surgery, the recovery, the therapy. All of it necessary to get them here, to this place of genuine happiness and hard-won wisdom. Later that evening, after they'd said goodbye and driven home, Trevor and Camila stood in their apartment bedroom. Camila was brushing her teeth, Trevor changing into sleep clothes. Mundane domestic routine that somehow felt profound. "Hey Mila." Trevor called from the bedroom. "Yeah." She appeared in the doorway, toothbrush still in her mouth. "Marry me." Again. Camila nearly choked on toothpaste. She rushed to the sink, rinsed, then returned to the doorway. "What?" Trevor knelt, holding a small velvet box. Inside was a simple silver band with a small diamond, nothing flashy, just elegant and classic. "I know we're technically still legally married on some paperwork somewhere because the divorce was never fully finalized due to your hospitalization. And I know we just moved in together. And I know some people would say it's too fast. But Camila Rodriguez, I love you. I want to spend my life with you. And I want to do this right, with a proper proposal and a ring and a promise to never let fear or pride destroy us again. So will you marry me?" "Again?" Camila was crying, laughing, nodding all at once. "Yes. Obviously yes." You saved my life and then you saved my heart, and yes, I'll marry you. Again. Trevor slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. He stood and she threw her arms around him, both of them laughing through tears. When? Camila asked. Big wedding or small? I don't care. Whatever you want. Small. Family and close friends. Maybe Rosa's backyard. Or the park. Somewhere meaningful. Perfect. They set a date for 3 months later, giving them time to plan, but not so long they'd overthink it. The ceremony would be simple. Elena would cook. Raphael would play music. Rosa would be maid of honor. Nicole would stand up for Trevor. Dr. Foster would officiate. Just the people who mattered most. The night before the wedding, Camila stayed at her parents' house for old time's sake. Elena helped her daughter get ready, pinning up her hair, adjusting the simple white sundress Camila had chosen instead of a traditional gown. You're happy? Elena asked, looking at Camila in the mirror. I'm happy, Mama. Really, truly happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. Meanwhile, Trevor stayed at the apartment with Marcus, who'd volunteered to be his best man this time around. They ordered pizza, watched a game, kept things low-key. You nervous? Marcus asked. Not even a little. This is the easiest decision I've ever made. That's how you know it's right. The wedding took place in the park where Trevor and Camila used to walk during their first marriage. Rosa and Carlos had decorated a small area with white flowers and ribbons. Chairs were set up for the 30 guests. A simple arch stood at the front, covered in climbing roses. Camila walked down the grass aisle on Raphael's arm, and Trevor's heart stopped like it had the first time he'd seen her in a wedding dress. She was beautiful. Radiant. Dr. Foster stood under the arch, smiling warmly. Dearly beloved, he began, and Trevor barely heard the rest. His entire focus was on Camila, on the woman who'd become his wife, then his ex-wife, then his second chance, and now would be his wife again. Trevor, your vows? Dr. Foster prompted. Trevor took Camila's hands. Camila, the first time we did this, I promised to choose you every day. I broke that promise. I let you go when I should have fought. But this time I promised to fight. To communicate. To work through problems instead of walking away. I promise to see you, really see you, even when it's hard. I promise to build a life with you based on honesty and trust and genuine partnership. I love you. I will always love you. And I promise to prove that every single day for the rest of our lives. Camila was crying. Happy tears. Trevor, the first time we did this, I promised to see you. I broke that promise too. I let my fears blind me to what mattered. But this time I promised to be brave. To be vulnerable. To ask for help when I need it. I promised to choose us over my pride. To communicate instead of assuming. To build something real with you. I love you. I never stopped loving you. And I promise to show you that love through actions, not just words. Dr. Foster beamed. By the power vested in me and with great joy, I pronounce you husband and wife. Again. Trevor, kiss your bride. Trevor did, pulling Camila close, kissing her while their friends and family cheered. When they finally pulled apart, both were grinning like fools. The reception was simple. Elena's food, Raphael's music, dancing on the grass, laughter and stories, and so much love. Nicole gave a toast about Trevor's loyalty and stubbornness. Rosa gave a toast about Camila's strength and growth. Dr. Foster gave a toast about second chances and doing the hard work of love. As the sun set, Trevor and Camila danced together under string lights, surrounded by everyone who mattered. We made it, Camila whispered against Trevor's shoulder. We did, Trevor agreed. And this time we're never letting go. They danced until the stars came out, until the music wound down, until it was time to leave for the small hotel where they'd spend their wedding night before flying out for a week-long honeymoon in Costa Rica. In the car, driving away from the park, Trevor glanced at Camila in the passenger seat. She'd kicked off her shoes and was looking out the window, a soft smile on her face. What are you thinking about? He asked. How close we came to losing this. How one phone call changed everything. Do you regret any of it? The divorce, the pain, all of it? Camila considered this. I regret that we suffered. But I don't regret the journey. Because the people we are now, the relationship we have now, we couldn't have built this without going through that fire first. We had to break to learn how to heal. We had to lose each other to really appreciate what we have. That's pretty wise. I've had good therapy. Trevor laughed, reaching over to take her hand. I love you, Mrs. Hayes. I love you too, Mr. Hayes. They drove into the night, towards their future, together. This time forever.